I feel like a lot of people don't understand that relationships, you gotta meet at the middle somewhere. You gotta meet at the
Listen,
middle
I
or
don't believe in 50-50. I believe in 100 and 100. You bring
yeah,
100%, I
exactly.
bring them 100%. You can't 50-50. That's something, I think that's stupid. Because that means y'all both are half. Yeah,
Yes.
no, that doesn't make sense. Both of you are supposed to be at 100% ready to go and take on the world. No, I don't. No, that's stupid. Absolutely not.
What's happening, everyone? We are now at episode 3 of Did You Hear That with Shimei and A'Lauren. Today's episode is going to actually focus on relationships in college. Shimei,
Oh,
how are you doing?
oh, this is an interesting one. I'm not one to talk about my personal life much. I'm gonna keep it very surface level today. But people, let's say, I'm gonna say for myself, people will know who I'm talking about if you know me personally, and that circle is very small. Depending on what we get into, but I really don't talk about my personal life, but I could talk about surface levels when it comes to relationships and stuff, on how my values are. But this should be interesting.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I agree. I don't want to expose too much because I don't want people
I don't have my
really.
tea. Yes, last week I had my Stanley with me. My Stanley's not with me today because there's gonna be some tea spilled allegedly today. Allegedly.
Yes, yes. So yeah, let's jump right in while the tea is hot.
Oh.
Has dating in college differed from your high school experiences?
In high school I didn't really date because I was the odd one in the bunch. I was bullied in high school. So not cause bullied because was very different. So I didn't really, date in high school. Um. So yeah, compared to college, I think people in college, we're all in college because we all have something in common. We all want to do something with our life. If you weren't, well, most of us, I will say, most of us, because some people who are in college are just there for the parties, and you find that out the hard way. But I will say, I will say that in dating in college, you gotta make sure that you have more time. So dating in college, my experience is I would say very interesting. I think I spent too much time on someone who didn't when the energy wasn't reciprocated. That's what I would say. I think we live in this fairy tale that, everybody wants that HBC love story. Everybody wants, to have that story or, oh, I met my wife or my husband or my partner or whatever at, my HBCU. And then, your children go to this, it's like a legacy thing. So that's what I envision. That looks like it's not. I have one more year left. It looks like it's not gonna happen. Never say never. Still have a senior year, yeah, left. But I think that some people in our generation really have a phase of they want the YN, and I'm not that type of person. And maybe just the type of females that I'm attracted to. Um, that's probably why, but and a lot of women nowadays, I don't think they know what they want, and they're not very direct, in my opinion. Now, I'm speaking of like women that I have dealt with. They don't know what they want. They weren't very upfront. They weren't very direct. It's confusing, and I don't have time to waste. So, certain things that's my experience. Now, I'm very career driven. I think that's very attractive to some women, but at the same time. I have learned not to. People make time for what's important to them. I think I said that last week, Lauren. And you see that, and don't waste your time with people. Don't have in the back of my mind, oh, I hope they change. Hope maybe if I be consistent, I hope they change, or I hope that, maybe if maybe if I do this, they might change their mind. Nope, believe what people say, and don't get caught. Know the difference between love and lust. That's another one. Love and lust. So, yeah. College is very interesting, and you see that you'll see once you get there. Once you get there.
Yeah. High school. Wow. It's almost been 3.5 years since I was in high school.
Well, I
Um,
know, don't make me feel old. If I keep seeing my gray hair, that's why you don't see it. Yeah, I have gray hair.
I would say I had a few situations in high school. Had my first kiss at 15. Um,
Okay.
this guy who was in my choir class and really liked him, but we just didn't align. He wasn't my boyfriend, but it just didn't align. Um, I then I then had a boyfriend. I was in a relationship almost my whole senior year, almost. Um, with this guy who I actually known since childhood. And he
Those be
was
the
the
ones. It'd be those ones.
yeah. He was a star football player. I was the majorette captain. You
Hmm.
know, we were
That's a good prom date. That's I could just imagine the prom pic. Did you go to that was your prom date? I'm gonna let you finish.
um yeah, we were running for like cutest couple. I remember
That was a
we were just
thing.
known all around. Like it was really cute. Until things really hit the fan. Um things hit the fan. And Shemai, I was supposed to go to prom with him. My mom wanted me to go to prom with him, and he left me. He got back with his ex-girlfriend for a little bit, and it was just a whole lot of mess, whole bunch of drama. And I remember I'm just feeling so low, like so, oh my gosh, I can't believe this. And it was embarrassing because it's like this was a public thing. Everybody knew that me and this person were together. So it was embarrassing. I didn't go to prom alone. I went to prom with another close friend of mine. And after, prom and graduation, he was actually 2 years older than me, by the way. Um, we kind of like got together for a bit, and it was a situationship until I got to college, and he just disappeared from the face of the earth.
Hmm.
He had different priorities, I guess, and he wasn't in college, so and I was going to college, so that's what happened there. But I would say comparing that relationship to college dating, I feel like it's been totally different because coming to HBCU, coming to college, um, I would say like growing up, I wasn't necessarily allowed to hang with boys or like allowed to date or just constantly do things that some of my other peers were doing in high school. So coming to college with all that like free will, it was kind of like, oh, I can go on a date or oh, I can hang with this person, things like that. And
So
you know, there's
your guy basically Keisha'd you. Um, are you ever watched the show Forever on Netflix?
no,
Oh, okay, never mind. I'm not gonna spoil it now. I'm sorry.
I
For
haven't seen
people
it.
who know the show, I highly recommend the show Forever. Don't watch it with your little siblings. I'm just telling you, I have it. I knew not to, but it's it's a great. It reminds me. Like I just renewed for season two. It reminds me kind of what you're saying of high school. They're high school students preparing to go into college and navigating life and all that stuff, relationships and stuff. And it kind of what you explained about, he went to prom, Keish. I'm not gonna spoil it, but it's very similar on how you're going to watch forever. This is not a paid ad or something like that. I just love it. It's a black lead show. So I just love black excellence. Forever on Netflix. 8 episodes. It's I think like 45 minutes a pop. If you got 5 hours to waste, there you go. Watch it.
I definitely need to watch it. Yeah,
Yeah.
coming to college, kind of sure I agree. I feel like a lot of people don't know what they want. And instead of like being upfront and telling people, oh, I just want to sleep with you, or oh, I just want to hang out and not actually have a relationship, I think that would be so much more beneficial because I found myself in a few situations where I had feelings for somebody that really wasn't trying to have anything serious in the first place. I recently got out of a relationship, Shimai, you know the deets on that, with someone very prominent on my campus. And I learned a lot through this relationship. I grew to love this person. I felt like we had so much in common, yet we were so much different. So that's why we clicked. Um, and I feel like that relationship kind of taught me, how I should be treated moving forward because, and it also made me realize that, again, coming to college, a lot of people don't understand that everybody is raised differently. And how people are raised can really contribute to how they treat their significant other or how they perceive relationships. Um, and I just feel like with college, it's even worse sometimes getting in relationships because you're expected to like just move on when bad things happen. So whether that's you don't have food to eat tonight, whether if you like in a relationship standpoint, if you broke up with your boyfriend or girlfriend or anything that happens that's traumatic during your college career, you're expected to get up the next day and just move on. And for me, that's been the probably hardest part of getting over this is just moving on, having to see this person all the time because they're a prominent person. And
I would not anymore, but
yes, yeah, like having, but
you can have a restful senior year, allegedly.
not if this person's a boomerang and wants to stick around. But that's another conversation. But yeah, I think college is so much different because everybody, like you said, Shamai, has different viewpoints and half of them don't know what they want. Yet they're the
Yes.
same people that are posting on their Instagram, yeah, I want a relationship, or reposting the like black couples and things like that. But at the same time, when you bring up commitment, they're not like, yeah. And then you also,
Reality versus people live in social media. That's a thing.
yeah.
Reality versus in reality. That's the problem.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think honestly, let's switch gears a little bit because speaking of relationships in college and being ambitious, like you said, Shamai, what challenges like do you face when balancing your academics and your like career ambitions while trying to have a romantic relationship or even just trying to talk to girls on campus?
I will say, don't mix business with pleasure. I will say that. You know, I remember when I did radio, people probably wouldn't even notice. I had like in radio, well, you work in radio, there's a thing called drops where, have like the station name and your show, or you're listening to What's Up with Shemai Cook, or you're listening to, what was it, radio station, NCCU Audio Net. And I used to have, my show was called What's Up with Shemai Cook. It was radio at the time at North Carolina Central. Um, so my ex, I doubt that you would realize this, but I had her do a drop saying, "Okay, you listen to What's Up with Shemai Cook." I had a person do that, and then at the end of the drop, it was like, "What you cooking?" in her voice. Miss Busy. Yeah,
Yeah.
so people don't realize it was her because I was very private in my personal life, but it's like that, like, make dumb decisions. I'm glad that's what college is for. You're gonna make dumb decisions. You're gonna have dumb relationships. You're gonna get your heart broken. You're gonna think like it's the end of the world. You're gonna think like, but at the end of the day, how did I balance it? Like you said, I still had to go. I still had to get up at the end of the day. I still had to go do a show. I still had to run the number one show on the station. And I still had a commitment to do because at the end of the day, life still moves on, even though things don't work out. But that doesn't mean that you don't have the obligation or the right to feel how you feel. There's therapy, there's friends, there's, journaling, there's other things to get your stuff off your chest, but at the same time, it may be hard, but at the same time, you still have to move forward because life is still going to move no matter what. So
Yeah.
that's how I balance commitment because I already know it in my head when things don't work out, it's their loss. 'Cause at the end of the day, 10, 15 years from now, they're gonna see Shemai Cook on, you know, on their local station, and
Yep.
they're gonna be like, "Oh my God, I knew him. I did." And then I'm like TMZ, all this stuff. All yeah, nah. So I already know stuff like that. And I guarantee you, 10, 15 years from now, when I get to where I want to get, those people are gonna start to show up. So that's why I gotta be careful who you choose with.
Hmm.
And that's why keep a very tight circle on my personal life. And I don't post anything on my about my personal life. If you look all of my social media pages, unless it's close friends and it's like close, I don't get why people have close friends is like over 100 people. I never get that. Close friends to me should be
Great.
no more than 10. No more than 10.
Yeah.
I don't think it should be no more than 10. Maybe 8 on a good day. Uh, I'm serious. It,
Yeah.
it doesn't make sense. So even that, I really don't post my personal life because at the end of the day, people can't if the things don't work out, people don't know. Now I might
Hmm.
post a hand or two or you know like that, but you won't see a face until the ring is on the finger.
Yeah.
Exactly. So that's how I feel. I don't post my personal life because we also, me and you, we live in this era where people like to, if they don't like what we say or we live in fake news, they come when we say we report fake news or something. They like to come. They don't just come for us. They come for our family too. So you set yourself up for success by not even giving that information of who you're dating, who you're married to, and all that stuff. I like that. I like people that it's mysterious, but at the same time, you know that they're married, but you don't know who their partner is. Go ahead,
Yeah.
Alyssa.
Yeah, that point you made, Shemai, about picking the right people, like narrowing down your prospects, because comparing, that's something I'm now trying to focus better on. Like, um, my type of man, looking, my type of man goes beyond looks. So I want someone polished. I want somebody
Hmm.
on level. And I remember my freshman year, I got into a situationship with this person who was nowhere at all on my level. And it really cost me. It
Wait,
cost
wait, he was like above or below?
me
Oh, okay. Ugh.
career wise, not really sure. This person smoked all the
Oh, he was an
time.
addict. God bless him.
And,
My
um,
ex was an addict too. It don't, oh my God, that's what I have to say. Don't lower your standards. Don't lower your standards. I'm sorry. It's in my head. I gotta say it. I'm sorry. Don't lower your standards. When you have standards in the type of person you want to live the rest of your life with, don't lower them. And if they
yeah,
check all the other boxes, but there's one box that really icks you that they don't check, they gotta go. My
yeah,
opinion.
yeah,
Because that you
um,
might could take it now, but that's gonna build up, build up, build up. And it's like it's gonna when the stuff hits the fan, it's gonna eventually eat you up.
yeah,
So
it's gonna cost.
yeah.
That person gave me something and gave me something to like eat, and I didn't know necessarily that it contained the substance, and I got extremely sick.
Oh my God. I would have made a phone call to my I would have made a phone call. I'm sorry, that's
Oh,
dangerous.
yeah, so it's just very dangerous. And, Shamai, a lot of people may not, who listen to this, may be in media, may not be in media. But now I'm kind of like you, Shamai, where I don't want people in the in the future, saying, "Oh, I dated this person and we did this and we did that," or "I have receipts of this and I have receipts of that."
Hmm.
No, like I don't want that. Um, I think also now with my most recent ex, he was more on my level ambition wise, very prominent on campus. I'm very prominent on campus. We're actually the same major. Yet he kind of wanted to go a different route than the traditional journalism route.
Hmm.
Um, challenges at least I faced, it's kind of like what you said, Shamai. People make time for what they want. And I'm the type of person where I can be booked and busy, but if I love you, I'm gonna find a way.
Exactly. Exactly. The thing is, Lauren, you know what I did? And I regret it. Well, you don't live your life and you regret, you learn from your
Yeah.
mistakes. I used to move or cancel meetings to make time for my former partner. I would never do that again because that's unless they do it for me. That's the thing. You have to treat people how they treat you. And I think people always say, "Oh, you gotta treat people how you want to be treated." No, because I'm gonna treat people how you treat me because I want this. At the end of the day, I'm not gonna put more energy into something than someone else is doing, because does me a disservice.
Yeah, it does. And I feel like a lot of people don't understand that relationships, you gotta meet at the middle somewhere. You gotta meet at the
Listen,
middle
I
or
don't believe in 50-50. I believe in 100 and 100. You bring
yeah,
100%, I
exactly.
bring them 100%. You can't 50-50. That's something, I think that's stupid because that means y'all both are half. Yeah,
Yes.
no, that doesn't make sense. Both of you are supposed to be at 100% ready to go, take on the world. No, I don't. No, that's stupid. Absolutely not.
I just feel like I can make time for the people that I love, and I feel like that's just been the most challenging part with navigating a relationship in college is just making time. Yet,
Mm,
if you love somebody, it's not that hard.
nope.
Um, it's not that hard. Um, I would say, at least for me, I've never been the type of woman that is expecting a man to pour out so much financially right now because I'm a college student myself, where I have
Exactly.
friends who kind of, I personally don't agree with the whole pushing a man to pay for this, pay for that right now, while
Ding
he's trying
ding
to
ding 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 ding
pay his tuition and pay
ding
for the
ding
things.
ding 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 ding.
So that may be some challenges for some people I know. I have friends who call me all the time, like, he doesn't want to pay for my nails, he doesn't want to pay for this. But I'm kind of like, well, we're adults. Don't get me wrong, we're adults. But right now, we're not on that level. You know what I'm saying?
Materialistic people. That's a big oh, actually, I'm gonna tell mine. Look, this is not in the format we have. What's your
Yeah.
biggest turn off?
Okay.
I'll say someone who's very materialistic. Like you just said, you expect me to pay for everything. And now that is a guy's job. I'm not saying no, we're not supposed to. But if we both in college, why do you expect me or expect guys, I'm not saying me, to pay for, or we got remember that list came out, oh, can't go to Cheesecake Factory. You can't go to the movies. You
Yeah.
can't go. You, it's about getting to know a person, and that's what we live in a society where we want materialistic stuff rather than getting to know a person. Go to the park, go to Starbucks on campus, or well, I speak for myself, but like go to the library. That like, stuff for free or something like. It doesn't have to be materialistic stuff. That's what I feel like. That's a big turnoff for me. I'm not a flashy guy. I might seem that way, but I'm a cheap person. I really don't like materialistic stuff. I feel like all that is dumb in my opinion. I hate guys who wear the Gucci and the Gucci.
Right. Oh, if you don't know.
Inside joke, they don't know. Gucci, all like the material, like I just felt like unnecessary. Who are you trying to prove that to? And like even the richest people, Oprah don't even wear like all that stuff. It's like it's just a mindset that I really don't understand. Now, I'm not saying that, if you got the money, go right ahead. Spend it on what you want. I just feel like it's very necessary to spend, money on all these thousands of clothes. It's just you're paying for a name. You're not paying for the clothes. You're paying for a name. I just never got that. I never get that. Never will.
And I
Yeah,
feel
yeah.
like in a
And I
relationship,
get for now for the girl for the females, the bags are investments. I have learned that. I'm a mama's boy, so I listen to my mom, and I got little sisters, and I had a ex that was very materialistic. But the bags are investments. I get that. But when I'm in college, I'm trying to invest in myself.
yeah,
Give me some grace.
yeah,
Give
yeah.
me
I'm
some
trying to invest.
grace.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I feel like this date off campus is great every now and then, but watching some of my friends, that's their every day and they're gonna break up with somebody just because they didn't pay for food or something like that.
Yeah.
I think it's a lot.
And then
And nobody needs
they quick to call us brokies. They like to quote Lotto. Well, we want to pay for stuff, and they expect people they expect us to pay for your friends too. Ah, that's not my responsibility. I've been seeing that on in TikTok and Instagram. I was like, what do we live in? I listen. I'm cheap myself. I better spend money on myself. Let alone I'm gonna spend money on you and your friend. Now you, no, okay, yes, you are fine. Your friends, they have to go get somebody else. I'm not your responsibility.
not to mention when I have to pay, for my tuition or either,
Mm,
oh, my computer broke, I need a new laptop.
yep.
You
Or my camera broke. Or I got
Yeah,
to get new glasses.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. You asked me my biggest turnoff. I
Yeah.
think honestly for me, it's just someone who it's I think it's between support and someone acting like because I think this is the biggest thing in my last relationship that really hurt me a lot. It's just kind of acting too good to be around me in public,
Oh,
yet in private you want to like be up on me, you want to see me and be around me, but in public you can't speak to me, but you can talk to everybody else in the room, you can hug everyone else in the room. And I understand having a private relationship, but I told him, I feel like random women shouldn't be treated better than I am. And people don't have to know that we're dating, and I'm not saying you gotta like kiss me and whatnot,
W,
but if
all that
you
stuff. Yeah,
yeah, but if you walk in the room and you hug every woman but your girlfriend, that's a little crazy to me.
that's weird.
Yeah, it's weird. It's
How
really
long
weird.
did you allow that? A year? You better than me. Better than most women.
I put up with a lot. But I think that was one of the things that came to mind, and one of my non-negotiables for my next relationship is just, um, if you can't be proud, to be with me, um, and just give me that respect, then you don't need to be
So
with me.
long, bye bye. Hmm.
So yeah, before things take a wicked turn, um, how do you navigate, I guess, talking status in situationships versus, actually saying, will you be my girlfriend or will you be my boyfriend? Like an actual
Oh,
committed
I'm very
relationship.
direct. I have to give time. You have I do relationships like a trial. Like I purposely test people to see how they will react. Cause I'm not gonna waste time. Like I'm very direct. I ask how many partners have you had. I ask, have you ever had, all the medical stuff and all that stuff? You got to be very direct. Now I do wait probably a good 3 months. I feel like it takes a good 6 months to know somebody, maybe 6 months to a year to get to know somebody. Yeah. Now it's very. How do I navigate this?
You would
Huh?
talk
We
to
said
you would talk to someone for 6 months before becoming official.
3 months. 3 months. I think that's fair. That's a good time frame in my opinion. I think 3 months. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I have come to find out I hate situationships. I can't do it.
Okay, can you describe one? Because first of all, I think situationships, and remember, I call myself a square. My mom calls myself a square. Sometimes I'm not hip to certain things. Is a situationship kind of like a hit and run, or like a you call up, when you want to hit and run type
No,
situation?
that's more of a sneaky link.
Okay, all right,
That's
thank you
more of
for
a sneaky link. I feel like
that.
situationships.
I'm sorry. Listen, I'm this.
Yeah, actually, let me break it down for anyone who's listening to the best of my. A talking stage is when, of course, you meet somebody, you're trying to get to know them, but to me, it's more of like text, FaceTime, that type of thing. You're trying to figure out what's going on.
Mhm.
Sneaky link is more of like what the older people call it, like a booty call, where you only call them for sexual purposes or
Okay.
that type of thing. I would say a situationship is more of like you're in a relationship almost without a label. And so it's kind of like,
Oh, okay. So I
yeah,
have been in a situationship. Okay, never mind. So I do know what it is now.
yeah, like you're
Yeah.
talking every day or frequently. It's not just through the phone or FaceTime, y'all are seeing each other, y'all are going places. You may be physical, you may be not, but it's basically a relationship without labels. And I feel like coming to college, that's almost like the norm, and it irks me
It's
so bad.
so, I think now that you explain it, there's a lot of situationships that I know about. I see that a lot in college. That's really, I don't understand why people don't like titles. And the thing is, I don't think people date to get married. Or,
That,
yeah,
yeah, yeah, long term, yeah.
long term, people don't think long term, and that's the thing. People, our generation, don't always only think for the moment present. They don't think about long term. That's how I think. I'm very strategic when I make decisions with like big things in my life.
And that's the thing, like
Yeah.
the guy I was with, my ex, we had planned necessarily a life together. We were really serious at one point, and I feel like what also kind of made things fizzled out is that, I told you, he became Greek and he got all these different positions and whatnot. So many guys, at least I know girls who are like this too. But so many guys at least think that like they have so many options and they have to like try everybody and everything, before settling down. And I feel like that part of the downfall of a relationship because he almost didn't want to commit anymore and he kind of wanted to take the label off and put me to the side until he was ready to get himself together again, and which I didn't like or appreciate at all.
Yeah. Yeah. You have dealt with things that I think a lot more girls would have allowed. Like you
Yeah.
have took so much stuff on the chin that a lot of people I think I would have done. Because for me, I feel like I believe in second chances. I
Mhm.
believe that people make mistakes, all that stuff. But when it's a pattern, that's when I become skeptical. That's when my journalistic brain starts kicking. Because I try to separate that stuff when I leave the studio, when I leave that stuff. Even my personality is still the same, but like the tendencies and all that stuff. Um, but it's just like when I start to pick up patterns, because we're trained, as journalists, we're trained to like, okay, this is happening, this is happening. Like, why does this keep on happening? So that's when you start asking questions and stuff like that. So after about two times and you're not honest with me, you're not being direct, you gotta go. Goodbye. And I'm fast to
And
block people. And it takes a lot for me not to like somebody. It takes a lot for me for not to like somebody. Um,
I think I think I can respect people more or guys more who are upfront,
thank you. Yes.
lying or hiding things. If you're we just started talking and you tell me, oh, I'm talking to this person, or you're not the only one. That makes me feel a lot better than to, feed me lies and say, you're the only person I'm talking to and making all these plans. In reality, that's
And,
not
and,
the case.
and the thing is, when guys cheat, they are so dumb. Women are so, that's why I always say women are so much smarter than men because women are so smart when they cheat. Now, I feel like everybody cheats. Black men don't cheat, black boys cheat. That's the difference. I always
Boys
say
cheat.
that, yeah, black boys, you were dealing with a boy, but we digress. Um, what I'm saying is, women are much smarter when they are not happy or they want to go somewhere else for a guy not to find out. Rather than a guy, guys are lazy and guys are not good with hiding stuff and all that jazz. So they're easier and they forget, especially on HBCU campus,
Mhm.
the ratio from female to male.
That
It's
says a lot.
it says a lot. So if you're messing with one dude, you're not the only one. You're probably not the only one that you're messing with. I've seen it firsthand. I have seen it. I just keep my mouth shut, but I watch, take it in, and keep it in the back of my mind. Okay, this is how things are going, and it's so ironic because that's the main reason why fights break out in college over dumb stuff like that.
Oh,
Yes.
yes. Yes. I'm telling you, the things I've seen happen because of you're messing with my man, and I heard that she's sleeping with him. Like,
Mm.
people will come after you. People will straight up fight you. I've seen it tear up friend groups. Like, it's serious.
The thing is, and they don't even end up working out if they over the guy that they were fighting
Yeah,
over. It don't even work
and
out.
that's
Was it really worth it? It makes no sense.
yeah, no. Because even with Fizz, I think Fizz and
Oh, Fizz is something else.
had, but Fizz
That's
is
that's a lead. That's where you could get some good leads for stories.
yeah.
Yes.
Because I mean, once you get put on Fizz, whether that's because you've been messing with everybody, I've seen men get dragged on Fizz because one girl found out that he's messing with someone else, and then there's 20 other girls that are saying the same thing. Or in other cases, you've probably seen this, Shemai, too. A woman can get posted.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not one to call people outside their name, but I've seen that's a prime example where you can see a woman get called outside her name on Fizz, and not for good reasons. Well, of course, not for good reasons, but but it's like that. It's hard not to look at somebody, especially when you're in a smaller school. Everybody knows everybody
Mhm.
at this point. Everybody know who everybody is. So like when you see somebody's name, and
And that's a
like
good point.
yeah.
It's kind of like, who you date, um, kind of builds your reputation almost. And especially at a smaller school, like that's what you're almost known for. Oh, wasn't she with him?
Mhm.
Or
And the thing is, that's how high school is too.
Mhm.
Because I could go through my yearbook right now, and that's I was doing that recently when I was cleaning, moving out my dorm. I saw my yearbook. I bring my yearbook everywhere I go, and I see like, oh, yep, she was. Yep, that's expected. Or they're pregnant now. Or yeah, like, oh man, that's expected. So you see that, like you
Yeah.
see that, like I think out of my whole class that I graduated with, I think like maybe 20 to 25% of the girls um are are mothers. Are
Mhm.
mothers. They wasted no time. They were like that in high school. So it was expected when they graduated.
Yeah.
And I don't mean it. I don't mean that in a real. I have to make sure when I don't mean that in a rude way. But well, like I said earlier, patterns. When you notice patterns, some people
Hmm.
it's just human behavior. You just have to learn that. It's just like, well. That's not surprising.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. Social media plays a huge part in high school and college relationships. Um, and most of the time, what I found, it's never really positive unless
No,
unless it's serious, like they're engaged or married. So yeah. Shifting gears now, let's get to our favorite segment of today. Talk your talk. This is basically the segment that discusses relationships, which we're talking about today, situationships, friendships, and personal growth. Today's question, Shemai, is it smart to get into a relationship when you're in college?
no, no, not. I think
Oh,
because
why?
I think college you're supposed to find yourself. That's the point of college, knowing finding who you are, finding who you want to be. I think that now I'm speaking for me personally. I think college prepares you for who you're going to be or who you want to be when you in the real world for your career or for the job that you want. Um, I feel that college helps you to be complete, to be the complete person or the man or woman for your future partner. So I feel like now you can date, you can all that stuff, but is it smart? No. But is it helpful? Yes. Cause you it's like a trial and tribulations. You test stuff out, or you find out, oh, it's like, oh, when your mom tells you not to put your hand on the stove when it's hot, and you do it anyway. You learn that, okay, maybe I should listen to people because because I don't want to get my hand burned again. So college is the same way. People tell you, they tell you, don't put all your eggs in one basket, and you
Why
do
not?
it anyways because your heart and mind tell you to, and you just learn. So I feel like in college, it's not smart to get into a relationship, but if you do, it's not a done decision because it teaches you where what you want and what you don't want.
Yeah. I would say it depends. It really depends. I would definitely say, yeah, your freshman welcome week, don't hop into a relationship with somebody.
Oh,
Don't.
people don't waste time orientation, they get right to work.
Yeah. Yeah, don't do that.
Yeah. No, people do. Don't do that, but people will.
Yeah, don't do that. Of course, please don't do that. But I think over time, if you do meet somebody and your intentions are 100%, aligned, I think a relationship could work. But I feel like that should not necessarily be your priority or focus when coming to college. Because like I said, when things fall through, you have to get up the next day. There is no,
Still gonna
oh,
have
I,
class, still gonna have to do projects, still gonna have to do your work,
yeah,
still gonna
like
have to go find an internship.
exactly. You still have to get up. And I feel like for me, during that hardship and during that time, it was really hard. I'm still having to fulfill all my roles on campus and I'm hurting and I
And
don't
you're
want to
doing
be.
it well.
Thank you.
That you're not just doing it, you're doing it well.
Thank
That's the
you.
difference.
Yeah, it's hard and I think a lot of people don't understand that. Because at the end of the day, everybody's human. And if you love somebody and you lose them, of course you're gonna hurt. I would say for those who are dating in high school, I've seen too many people try to come to college or bring their boyfriend or girlfriend to college, and that usually doesn't work. I'm
Watch,
sorry, usually
I'm telling you, watch Forever on Netflix. I'm telling you, Laura, you're speaking the truth. You are literally, you must be in the writer's room. They must have took the plot from your life or your experiences. 'Cause literally, that is what the show is. I'm telling people, Forever is an interesting show. I think it's the best show of the year. That's a hot take. But Yeah, you're basically explaining it. Yeah.
Yeah, don't come into college with all that because that's a lot of pressure. I think, like you said, Shamai, talking to people, because I feel like if you are feeling out your options, and this doesn't even have to be physically, because a lot of people think, oh, come to college, I can,
Be a
just,
straight shooter. Pow
yeah,
pow.
exactly, rack up my body count. No, don't do
No,
that.
that's not what we want, because that gets around too. That's not a good reputation to have. How you doing?
Exactly.
Okay, stop. I didn't hear that. We have one at least every episode. At least every episode we have to say.
Exactly. But just talking to people because I feel like for me, that's also helped me like solidify like what I want and what I don't want, what I'm gonna put up with, what I'm not. Because you see a lot, and if you put your eggs all in one basket, sometimes your perception can get really just tunnel vision or blurred. And with this, what I've learned too, like going to certain conferences and whatnot, like I'm sometimes you get so limited to your HBCU that you kind of feel like, oh, that's all that's out there.
I do. It's not. There's a world
Exactly.
outside of Norfolk. There's a world outside of Fayetteville. There's a world outside of DC. There's a world outside of Tennessee
Yeah,
there's a world outside that people forget that. That's
exactly.
the thing. People always think about, oh, I got to be this just here, just here.
Yeah.
No, you have to. When people say my competition, they think about their class. I said this last week.
Yeah.
Your soulmate is probably not here. Your future husband or wife is not here. It's probably somewhere else. That's what people fail to realize. And that's the problem. There we go. That's the problem.
That's the problem. So that's another thing that's helped me kind of like grow and, oh, there's other people who's probably their ambition matches more because they're at the same conference that I'm at. Are these other men that I've been, crying over at these events, at these conferences, taking these trips? No. And so do I really want to be like, chained to somebody who doesn't even match my level of ambition?
And that's a good question. Will you date somebody in your industry, Lauren? I was talking to my mom about this yesterday.
I want to.
You
Um,
would.
because
Now, would you date someone in the same company that you work? Say if you work at eight, and no, I'm just teasing the Lauren. Say if you work at ABC, would you date someone who works at ABC too, or would you date someone that works at Fox?
I honestly don't want to, not at my station. Maybe if they're somewhere else, but I feel like that's messy. And like you said, you don't really want to mix that. I've learned that the hard way.
Yeah. Mm,
Um, when I was with this prominent figure on campus, at one point we were in like the same organization. So I'm having
mm.
this person all the time, and like you said, people want to be nosy in your business, and will try to start things between you two just because they know, they're
People are
together.
messy.
Yeah. So no, but I really do want somebody in the media industry. Like I really do because I want them to understand my schedule, my ambition, and honestly my mentor, her and her husband, they're not directly in the same vein per se, but they're both involved in the media industry. So I feel like they understand each other. They've worked on projects together, things like that. And so I feel like if I date somebody in the industry, they will automatically understand the things I have to do. Um, Instead of I would love an engineer or somebody,
Or a lawyer.
yes, I would love an attorney. Oh my goodness. Will they understand, oh, I'm working 5 to 7 days a week, crazy hours. I have all these deadlines. I'm gonna have to talk to other men and interview people. Like, are they gonna be extremely jealous? Like,
Insecure.
exactly, insecure? Are they gonna be mad when I move from station to station, like I'm rising to the top of where I want to be? Like, that's something I want. I want them to be understanding. And if they're not understanding, and like you said, Shamai, because maybe that's a lot of people say my ex is a little insecure. Um,
Mm.
Off record. But anyways, I don't.
I didn't hear that.
But yeah, like I
Visual.
I don't imagine a man who's insecure like and gets so upset whenever I make another milestone in my career.
People need therapy. That's the problem. People like to put their burdens on other people, then make them feel like they're the problem, and it's really them. What's that song? It's me. Hi, I'm the problem. It's me. They need to listen to that song.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I would say to any high school student or college freshman coming in, like, don't. I would say at least just give it time. You have time. You have time. Don't rush into a relationship because, like you said, Shamai, you got to find yourself. You need to figure out if this is the major you want to stay in, because too many people change their major junior, senior
People, I
year.
have heard the highest number, people change their major 73 times. I've heard somebody say they changed their major 73 times.
Crazy. You need to be focused on your major and is if do you want to keep that? Do you have the right amount of credits? Are you making academic progress? Like get that all in order. For me, it's been easy because that's how I've been kind of trained to all through school, all through my life, do well in school, pay attention, nose in the books. But a lot of people I've realized in college, like I have a friend, I love her. Haven't talked to her in a while. But some people, relationships, you get into relationships and start messing with people on or off campus, and they end up dropping out because they're gonna go live with their boyfriend, or like
Oh,
they get pregnant, or
ooh,
um
mm.
they think that their man is gonna, take care of them and they don't need, a degree anymore. And
Oh, that's a trend. Oh my God. Tell me why my sister, she is how is she? She is 11 years old, right? 11 years old. Get this. They had for one of their theme day, they said where what's the thing? What is it called? What you want to be career day. What you want to
yeah,
be day, right? Tell me why. And she go to private school, mind you. Tell me why. She said most of the girls in her class said they want to be stay-at-home moms. Tell me why. That's a trend. No one wants to. I think we're going back to that's what society is going back to.
yeah,
Most of society, I will say. I've seen a lot more women not relying on men, and I like that. And I think that's really one of my like turn ons or attractions to me and a woman. Like you don't need me. Like you're good on your own. That's really attractive in my opinion. But tell me why do it's like a thing where a lot of women now the girls growing up, my sister's 11 in the fifth grade going into the sixth grade, why are they learning to want to be relying on a guy,
it's
relying
so
on a man to
yeah.
to to survive? I
And
don't get that.
I don't think it's realistic because I mean, like I was saying earlier, most men our age right now, Shemai, do not have the funds to be taking care of themselves or somebody else.
Unless they are YN and they're in the streets.
I mean, and eventually that's gonna get,
Yep. And then eventually you're gonna be a widow, or you're
yeah.
gonna be what that's not funny, but you know it's true. You're gonna be a widow, or you're gonna be what is it called? You're gonna need what did they say? What did they say? Um not stand your ground. Wait for you. Wait for somebody. You're gonna need to wait
Oh,
for
like
somebody.
you're
Hold you
holding.
down. Hold you down. You're gonna be a hold downer. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
like it's just not realistic, if I'm 45 years old and my husband has all the money in the world and I can stay home, that's great. But like you said, Shamai, these young girls, and even like I said, girls I knew freshman year, they get with the YN and
Hmm.
think have this princess life and can just throw their degree out the door. That is just so unrealistic. And I feel like, what did you say? Sorry, you said invest in yourself.
Hmm.
Definitely invest in yourself. Like, if you can get this degree, get the degree. Come in, get your degree at least, because at
Waste
least
your time. Don't just go to class and go to your dorm. Nope, that's not what college is about. That's what people do. I see a lot of people do that. They just go to class, go back to their dorm, And that they think they're doing something. That's not what college is.
Yeah,
Most time.
there's so many opportunities, and I feel like that's honestly what's also helped me stay afloat. Just staying involved, taking opportunities because you have to invest in yourself. When the person, I mean, of course, you want to think you'll be with somebody forever, but when that falls through, all you're left with is yourself. And do you
True.
really want to set yourself up for failure?
No. Nope. Nope. Mm. Oh, you ate today. What's the moral of the story?
The moral of the story is come to college for the right reasons. Don't come here thinking that you're gonna get with all the Greeks and because that's a whole nother trend, Shemai. Online, people are
Hmm.
HBCUs just so they can see the noobs. They can see the Qs, the alphas,
Or,
like
or should they just so they could get picked up? Mhm.
exactly. That's not the point. The
That's not the
moral of the
point of
story is
college.
come to college, find yourself, find your career, find your passion and ambitions, and the rest will fall into place. And even if you make mistakes and even if you think you have your HBC love story and it falls through, you got to keep going.
And don't tell everybody everything. That's what all the
Yeah.
drama starts. Don't tell you don't
And
need to tell everybody. The first person you meet doesn't have to be your best friend. I'm telling you, it doesn't
yeah,
have to be.
the trauma dumping, that's a good point, Shemai. Like when you meet somebody you want to talk to or even just friends, don't tell them your life story because I'm telling you, those same people you meet that first week, you will look back 3 years later and be like, yeah, and they know all your secrets
For
because
real. Oh, I'm glad I'm very skeptical. I've always been like, you can't trust everybody. You
we're gonna,
can't.
we're gonna have to do an episode on that.
Yeah. Oh,
Privacy, like privacy.
privacy. Like, you don't have to tell everybody everything. Now, like at that moment, now maybe 10, 15 years from now, if you want to write your memoir or something like that, yeah, of course. But there's some things that me and you go through that people don't know, would never know. But we still show up for work.
Yeah,
We still do our shows. We
yeah,
still we still are involved with things. You would never know. You would never know. You never know what somebody's going through. That's number one. So that's why like you gotta treat people how you want to be treated because you don't know what somebody's going through. You never know. Some people are good actors. I know I am. You would never know. I'm so serious. You would never know. Shoot, we
yeah,
go through a lot. This business is hard.
yeah.
So we're like, some sacrifices that you have to make, and that's sometimes that backfires. But at the same time, we know the end goal.
And if you keep your eyes on the end goal, you will be okay.
You'll be fine. You'll
Yeah,
be fine. Yeah.
I think.
Especially just don't fail that quiz. No, you have to watch forever. I'm telling you. And everybody listening and watching, watch Forever on Netflix. I'm telling you. Huh?
Sponsor Shemai.
Listen, they could sponsor me. I could do a guest star. I could be a guest role. Because I'm not gonna spoil it. Listen, it's HBC. Is the one of the characters goes to HBCU, so that's why I really like the story because it's based off a book. Number one, and number two, it's an all black cast, and I love that. So
So wait, before we go, did you like All American Homecoming? Because I love
it's a
that.
little shaky.
Oh,
Very repetitive storyline. That's not good writing. I feel like the best writing now on TV is on Netflix. Cause when you go to network television, it's very repetitive and stuff. So it's like All American. That's why that show got canceled because it's repetitive storyline.
well, I think that wraps up today's episode 3 on relationships and dating in college. We'll probably come back to this topic in a few months because it's ever so changing. But yeah, this is
Did you hear that? Shemai and A'Lauren. Make sure you guys follow us on social, on the Cook Entertainment YouTube page, like and subscribe, and make sure if you have any comments or concerns or something like, comment down below. Send us questions. We would love to do a segment as S and A. We'll figure that out. SNA acts. I don't know what that, how we'll figure that out. But but no, send us up your questions, your comments, and we'll definitely relay it back to you. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you next time. When did you hear that? With Shimei and A'Lauren. See you guys. Bye.